but this is the gold bar. How to give your 30-second talk. Here's the 3 topics. 1, how your body works. Number 2, how your body breaks down. Number 3, how it...
This episode of the Chiropractors Edge is brought to you by Mango Voice. Mango Voice is an enterprise-grade VoIP system based in the cloud. Whether you're at the office or on the go, Mango gives you the tools you need to engage customers like never before. This is a product that my team can't live without, and neither should yours. Welcome to the Chiropractors Edge podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Jake Hansen, and I am excited today because I have chosen that I want to do life with the people that I love, that I care about, that I respect. And you should always do business with those people as well. And that is why I have this incredible guy with us today. This guy has influenced me in multiple levels of my life, and especially in my business. We've got for you guys, we got Dr. Franky Hahn. Franky, welcome to the show today, my man.
Thank you, Jake. It's an honor to be on your Chiropractors Edge podcast. You've been on ours many times, and I'm excited because it's your 3rd season, I think, right?
Yes, 3rd season, man. Yeah, this is exciting. And man, we have knocked it through the roof. We just had it was like 30,000 views on our podcast so far, which is pretty remarkable and
awesome,
which has been awesome. And the whole goal is, again, is we want to bring you guys value. So Dr. Franky Hahn, you guys, so he is a current board of trustee member at Sherman College of Chiropractic. And we just had an incredible lyceum, our 50th anniversary, right?
50th anniversary, the most well-attended lyceum ever. And then the most regents ever in the history of Sherman College. So that's pretty awesome. Everybody is jumping on and supporting Sherman College, the mission and the vision. It is awesome.
Life is awesome. But again, it is all about individuals. A lot of us don't understand that certain organizations, schools that we love and trust, at one point were in danger of closing down, and they were able to be brought up by incredible people. An early part of my career, and I've said this several times, I felt like I had multiple, tons of incredible tools, but I didn't quite know how to use or when to use each individual tool. And that's where, Dr. Franky Hahn came. Frank is a good friend of mine, and he's a co-founder of Schubel Vision Elite with my dear friend, Dr. Liam Schubel, Dr. Judd O'Grady, one of our dear friends, Dr. Daniel Murray is part of that incredible group. And it's a mentorship group that basically mentor you into how to be the best chiropractor that you can be, so that you can have the freedom to do what you want to do. We want chiropractors to be some of the most wealthiest, influential individuals, so we can be game changers. When decisions come to be made, we can help make those decisions. And that's one of the things I love about you, Frank. I love to jump into this. You hail from New Jersey, and you have an incredibly thriving chiropractic practice. And right now, your practice, your team has grown massively. You're up to 4 now.
Yeah.
He is one of the most humblest yet giving. I can text Frank at almost any given time, and typically within seconds or within minutes, Frank is always texting me back. And again, you guys, you need to be able to be sure you have good mentors and people in your life who are 1,000% on board for your success and your happiness. You have an incredibly successful practice. You practice chiropractic. You deliver incredible things. You have 4 team members. How do you run such an incredible empire? You're the chiropractor, 3 other team members. How do you do that?
Great question, Jake. And it all comes down to systems, right? That's what we really figured out. That's what we don't get taught in chiropractic college, by the way, too. We learn in my school, Sherman College, they said, here's business class. Here's a HCFA form, send it into the insurance company, business class over. Now go do it yourself. That was basically the class. We had to give a health talk and come up with an hour health talk. They called it health talks then. An hour, a 30-minute, and a 10-minute talk. And so those 3, we put the most effort into those at Sherman College. And so that's how we kind of refine our communication skill sets because we focus on that. The business side wasn't really there. And I'm not sure if it's like that in every school. I'm an alumni from Sherman College also. I think it was the business regimen that was lacking for the success of many of the graduates of Sherman College. They had huge impacts. They're known as great adjusters and great communicators, and they can light the world on fire with chiropractic. But some of them, you're exactly right, did not make the kind of money that you expected that these awesome chiropractors make or should make. And so when I was growing up in the chiropractic world, we'll say it's only been for 20 to 25 years I've been involved in chiropractic, because as a child, I knew nothing about chiropractic. I got turned on to chiropractic by an awesome chiropractor, Bob Berkowitz, and he inspired myself and one of my cousins to go off to chiropractic college when we were in our very early 20s. So that's when we kind of discovered about chiropractic. I probably grew up too poor to go to a chiropractor anyway, so I didn't know anything about it. So he taught me chiropractic, and you said some magic words just moments ago. There are some people in this world who are there to just make sure other people are moving up or bringing or elevating people. And this is Bob Berkowitz. There's another famous guy, Liam Schubel. He does the same thing. He's co-founder. And these people, and Dr. Berkowitz got honored with the Tom and Betty Gilardi Award at Lyceum, and he deserved it greatly, because if it was not for him, Sherman College would not be there. And I know that's sometimes easy to roll off and say that about people, but this person, this chiropractor, literally, if he was not alive, Sherman College would not be there, because they ran into some financial challenges back in the early 80s. And he just said, how much do you need? And here's a loan. And they gave it to him, no interest charge. And then they made payroll, and then it started going up from there. But that's something that he did. And you talked about another person that saved Sherman College. And in my mind, it would be Liam Schubel. He came in and said, here's where we're going to market Sherman College to the world. And that's when they started bringing in so many people. And he literally was one of the responsibilities as a trustee to bring in Dr. Edwin Cordero. You mentioned him, the right person at the right time. Now Dr. Jack Borla is the right person at the right time. And so bringing it back to the office, we need to have key people that can handle the positions in your offices. When you find that person, take care of them extremely well, get involved in their lives, and make sure that they are comfortable at your office and they can provide their families a good living, because they're going to be returning that tremendously. Your ROI, return on your investment from that person. And I always think about hiring people as an investment, not an expense. You can't think of it as an expense. As an investment mindset, you're thinking of, I'm going to get a return on my investment. So the person, I have 3 major spots in my office. I have a front desk person. The job of the front desk person is to meet and greet every single person that walks through the door. But the more important thing is to fill up my appointment calendar. They are scheduling everybody. If I had to say there was one job for the front desk person, it would be fill up the appointment calendar. Answering the phones is very important, because that helps fill up the appointment calendar too. The second person, AR person, the accounts receivable person, she is definitely responsible for the collections aspect. She does an excellent job. Everything is on point. You want to have a goal, I would say, of about in the 90% collection range, right? That would be your goal to aspire to. Every time we do a care plan or a financial plan, I can expect about 90% of that money coming in. And then the last person, I say position, not person, because sometimes you have, over the years, I had more people in the position and a couple times less people, because they need assistance, not to help me, but to help them keep up with their work, is the director of community outreach. So director of community outreach, he helps me with all my educational booths. He finds the events, he goes to the events, he sets up the booths, he runs the events for me. All I have to do, if I want to, is go there and check people's spines and then educate them a little bit. And then if I don't need to do that, we have the system in place where he is not a chiropractor, but he can do all of that himself at the booth without me even being there. But I enjoy being there because I'm meeting and greeting, and it's my type of personality just to meet and greet people.
Docs, I mean, that is a very simple yet very powerful system. Being able to label each person so that they know exactly what their role is, and you created that role, that right there allows tremendous success to happen. We see a lot of practices where a lot of people don't know their role. Systems are absolutely critical to your business, and we are always improving our systems. You're able to give back even more every single year. In fact, in the green room, if I hope you don't mind me sharing, we were talking, you're like, oh, hey, yeah, we're getting packages ready to send to the Philippines and we're creating goodie boxes, and you're able to do things that you love and still run an incredibly successful practice. So in regards to bringing in new clients, new practice members, new patients, right? Fulfilling that part of you that loves giving back. And then the bottom line of being sure that your bank account is full and mighty. So how do the educational boosts, those screening boosts, how does that do all of those things for you?
Once I learned about these educational boosts, it's an interesting story how I learned about it. There was a chiropractor, Dr. Len Maza. He was a past board of trustee for Sherman College back in the 90s. And when I graduated from chiropractic college, once again, they know you don't get taught business at that time. Now, Sherman College bought a business program and has all these wonderful chiropractors coming
Pretty
back
amazing
and helping to teach the business skill sets now. So it's much better than when I was in school. That was the job of the mentors, right? So Dr. Len Mazel was one of my mentors. I asked him, well, how do you bring in new people? Because I'm just starting out and I want to do a great job and I want to light the world on fire with chiropractic. So how do you do it? And he goes, I go and do screenings. And so at that time, he called it screenings. So he goes, would you like to go on one with me? I said, oh, yeah, sure. So he said, okay, we're going to bring in 3 new people. I'm like, oh, you're going to bring in 3 new people right now? You know it? He's like, oh, absolutely, 100% certain. We're going to bring in 3 new people. So he literally went down to the farmer's market. And I'm not suggesting you do it this way, but I'm telling you how I got introduced to this screening idea, this thought process. He went down to the farmer's market, set up a table, a chiropractic table. The table I was just referring to has his pamphlets on there. And then a canopy protect him from the sun, right? And then he had the model spine there. And so that's the minimum things that he had. And he gave them an education, a very short education, what we evolved to the 30-second talk. He shared with them a little about chiropractic, checked their spine, said, here's where you have misaligned spinal bones. Would you like these adjusted? If they said yes, then he said, okay, we'll schedule you an appointment. If they said no, he said, okay, have a nice day. That was the system. And so as soon as he had 3 new people, he left the event. But don't you want to stay here and see if you get more people? He goes, no, I just need 3 new people for my office and that's it. And so he would do that repeatedly. When he saw a drop off in his numbers and with his statistics, he said, okay, now I got to replace these people. He calculated he needed 3 new people to up his numbers again to the level that he was comfortable at. He wasn't trying to grow his practice. He was trying to maintain the practice. 2 weeks later, he said, Frank, it's time to go on another screening. Let's go on another screening. So once again, we went down to the farmer's market. Within, I think, an hour this time, he scheduled 2 new people. And I said, listen, do you think I could stay here and try to schedule some people doing what you do? He goes, yeah, sure. That's no problem. You can stay here, just, pack up the equipment and bring it back to my office. So I stayed there the whole day. And I was terrible at it, Jake. I was horrible. I was not like what he was doing. So I think I scheduled like another 6 or 7 people throughout the day. But I said, I understand now why he was just there for 2 hours, because he was committed. His time was valuable to him. And I said, I was here for 6 hours and I scheduled 7 people. He was there for 2 hours and scheduled 3 people. And I said, okay, either I have to get better at this or I have to figure out something to do differently. That's where the evolution started in my mind. And I said, I need more opportunities. I said, if I went to bigger events where there was better foot traffic, I would have more opportunities. And so that's where the ball started rolling with me. Okay, what events have the most foot traffic? Not that I'm creating them. I said, I want to latch on to the events that are already happening. So in our area, we have quite a few of them. We have one coming up this weekend called the Hungarian Festival. I've been doing that one for about maybe 18 years now. It's one of the most, every single year they have it on the first Saturday of June. And that historically brings me in about maybe 35 to 45 new people from that one singular event. And we spend about maybe 8 hours down there. So now that taking it from those days where just went down to the farmer's market and not a lot of foot traffic, we refined the system of the educational booth. Now it's called an educational booth, because the primary goal of an educational booth is to educate your community. I go with the mindset of educating people, not to get people, right? Oh, by the way, Dr. Jake, I hope I can plug Danny Knowles's Mile High.
Yes.
We're going to be teaching this exact event, the educational booth system, in one of the breakout sessions this year. but I'm going to be teaching the 33 principles of chiropractic in regards to the educational booth. So what aspects do the 33 principles relate to the educational booth system?
And if I may just briefly, you guys, this is a massive way that and knowing Frank, that this fulfills his heart. He's able to give back massively. This system allows so many people to be able to get into your practice. And I know some of the wealthiest docs I know implement this type of system of having an educational booth, a spinal screening booth, a spinal check booth. And it's massive. We have several docs that still do it themselves. And we have multiple docs that say, I focus on this side of my practice, and I have one of my other doctors, or they've created a role like Frank has, where they have another person who is in charge of that brings in people, and it is massive. And I know personally for Frank, this is a multiple six-figure source of income. Giving this gold pearl can not only allow you to take your practice to the next level, and again, it's something that you can do yourself, or you can train and have another part of your team dedicated to do this to bring massive success. So
yeah, sure. And we teach people at the educational booth 30 seconds of chiropractic. So here's the gold bar takeaway, Dr. Jake, from this session. There's probably going to be a couple more, but this is the gold bar. How to give your 30-second talk. Here's the 3 topics. 1, how your body works. Number 2, how your body breaks down. Number 3, how a chiropractor helps. So those 3 points, if you're giving a 30-second talk or a 30-minute talk or a 1-hour talk, just adapt your talk to those 3 speaking points. And that's going to be a talk that you can give for your entire career in your community. Dinner with the Doc is about an hour-long talk. Lunch and Learns are about 30 minutes. So adapt your talks. Do 30 minutes or 20 minutes or 10 minutes on each. The 30-second talk is 10 seconds on each of those points. So you have to refine your words and choose your words very carefully when you give that 30-second talk, but we use those 3 speaking points. But beyond the education, then we check their spines. Literally a chiropractic table, they can either sit up or face down. So now after that, we go over a report of findings that's sharing with them what the findings are from your exam. Then we give them an offer. Would you like to have your misaligned spinal bones adjusted that we discovered? And depending on what they say, the answer is always great, Dr. Jake. The answer is great. If they say yes, great. Let's schedule you an appointment. We brought our appointment calendar. If they say no, and here's the caveat that most people people are fearful of doing these events because they don't know how to do them. Once they know how to do them successfully, they'll say, I can't believe I was not doing these my whole entire career, and I don't even have to do them myself as the chiropractor. So it's a no-brainer. And you're right, we bring in almost half of our income, maybe a little bit more than a third of our income comes from educational booths. And so now when they say no to you, because some people do say no, when they say no, you say, here's my business card. When you're ready to have your misaligned spinal bones adjusted that we discovered, give our office a call. And you let them walk, right? Because this is the difference between a sales booth and an educational booth. Vitally important for this one. A sales booth, you're going to try to change their mind and say, didn't you hear what I said? You have misaligned spinal bones. You need to get them corrected. What's wrong with you? And now their antennas go up and say, oh, he's just trying to get me into the office. But if you say, here's the education, here's what you had, and you can walk away if you like to, here's my card. They're leaving kind of happy because you didn't try to change your mind, and it's not a sales booth, but they're going to hold on to your card. And when they're good and ready on their own time, they'll give you a call. And I had people call me up years later saying, Dr. Hahn, I met you at one of those fairs, one of those festivals, and I wasn't ready at the time to have my spine checked, but now I am. Can I make an appointment? And I would say, yes, absolutely. No problem. Let's schedule an appointment. And I don't say this on the phone, but now you pay full price. Instead of, sometimes you give them a promotional price for the event. Educational booths are one of the best ways to go about it.
And I love that. So we, again, here at the Chiropractors Edge, in our practice, we've taken so many of those principles that we implement. And again, so our first screening that we're going to be doing, so where we check people's spines. And again, we've taken it just a tad different, that based off of like my personality and some of my goals. because I love to be able to give back. My docs love being able to give back, but this is something that massively grows our practices. And something that I know is chiropractors around your town love you, Franky, because you constantly are giving to other people. You're constantly saying, oh, you're in this town. Okay, I'm going to send you to this person. One of the things that I've taught you guys that is actually really cool, it's a different business side, is I've created strategic partners. So I'm always wanting to give back to chiropractors. When I bring value to someone, and it's value that's going to make them a lot of money, I have now changed my mindset where before, and this is just me personally, when you bring massive value that is going to change someone's life and hopefully their bottom line, their finances, I have zero problem asking for something now in return. So one of the things I've done is I have strategic partners north, south, east, and west of me. So figuring out where some of these people are coming, okay, and I know just like we do, we have people that drive an hour to see us, we have people that come from out of state to see us. But in general, when you have a lot of people who live more than an hour away, but it's so wonderful when you can have another chiropractor. So what I've set up with some of my docs, I literally have said, like, hey, Franky, you share the same mindset as I do. You help people. You have a very similar practice that I do. I want to send you people. And Franky, would you like to have 80% of everything I send you, or would you, or maybe none? Well, the answer, and that to a degree, that's how we say it. Like, well, I'd like to have 80%. Awesome. I have a 1099 program where I make these referrals, and there's a trust system about this, sure. But we'll get about 20% of everything I refer out. So if I've checked 300 people's spines at an event, and 80 are going to come see me, and another 50 to 60 are going to see other chiropractors, we're still getting paid to do that.
I think that's absolutely brilliant how you figure out a way to bring additional income from the educational booths, because I never really thought about it that way before. But let me share with you something that I figured out, and maybe your crew from the Chiropractors Edge can do this in their communities. So I'm a board member of the Garden State Chiropractic Society. And this is a great mentorship group, because you're right, we do refer a lot of chiropractic patients to many, many chiropractors, not just our own office. We schedule hundreds and hundreds of patients throughout the season. I'm here in New Jersey, so we have a season from like the springtime to the fall. Our winters, we really don't do any of the outside events. Inside events, yes, but not outside. And so I have chiropractors ship me their business cards. And so I have their business cards on hand when we have a patient that walks up to our educational booth and they're from an hour away. Well, I have a chiropractor for them because we have our whole state society, and we always go into the event as our state society. I'm not going in as Chiropractic Life Center or Dr. Franky Hahn educational booth. I'm going as the Garden State Chiropractic Society. We have the banners, we have the logo on our tent, and then our paperwork says Garden State Chiropractic Society on there. So here's what I did that was genius, I think, is I said, Garden State Chiropractic Society, you're a nonprofit organization. In order to retain your nonprofit status, you need to do community outreach. These educational booths will satisfy that requirement. So you never have to do anything other than these educational booths. And the other members can do educational booths in their areas as long as they go in as the Garden State Chiropractic Society. Is that okay? They said, oh yeah, our members are going to go in as Garden State and promote Garden State Chiropractic all over the state. Absolutely. I said, in exchange for us promoting Garden State at our educational booths, not our personal office, but Garden State, will you pay for the event? And they agreed to pay for the event. So every single event that I do, I pay $0 to go in. All these patients that we generate, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of patients, we pay $0 for it. Think about this, Dr. Jake.
I love that, and this is so massive, you guys. I see what you have accomplished everywhere. And again, to see what Sherman's going through, see where the IFCO is at, to see where New Jersey and the Garden State Chiropractic Society is at. I mean, it's incredible. And you're able to do these things because you have incredible systems. You've been practicing for several years now. Is there any particular, as we kind of wrap things up here, is there any particular experience or story that's happened, in your practice that has just really lit you up or changed you deeply, personally, emotionally?
How long do we have? Another hour to go? I can go forever on this topic. In practice, that's probably why I'm still practicing, Dr. Jake. I don't have to practice ever again in my entire life. I can go retire on an island somewhere and that's it, and say see ya. But I enjoy it so much. I can't imagine in my mind seeing myself at least one day a week working with the patients, because it brings me such joy to see, the expression on their faces after you get their spine checked and adjusted, and just interacting with these folks. One or two interesting things that happened to me. My wife's from Philippines, so we were getting ready to go over to the Philippines, and there was about 2 weeks was our trip. We were leaving in 2 weeks, and there was a patient who came in from, he hadn't been in about 2 years. So he moved away, and I knew he wasn't coming back. So he told me I found a chiropractor down where he moved to in Jersey Shore. And he just happened to be by my office, traveling by the office. And I told him, if you're ever by my office, stop in and we'll catch up, and I'll be glad to check your spine. There's no hard feelings. You're moving away, but I found you a good chiropractor. So 2 years later, he comes into the office. He said, Dr. Hahn, I know I haven't been here in 2 years, but would you check my spine for me? I said, sure, absolutely. That's what I do. And it was a morning time. So we were just chit-chatting a little bit after I checked his spine, and he discovered I was going to the Philippines. And he said, that's interesting. What part of the Philippines are you going to? I said, area called Cebu, and specifically Talisay in Cebu. He goes, that's amazing. His parents run an orphanage in Talisay, Cebu, in the Philippines. He said, would you check my mom and dad, because they never had their spine checked before, and I know they could do it, use it because I benefited from it so much, and I'd be honored if you could check your spine for. I said, absolutely. Let's call them up. Let's schedule it right now. Organize it, because I'm leaving in 2 weeks. If you came here 2 weeks later, this would not have happened. So he called up his mom on the phone. Now, remember, it's about maybe 11 or 12 o'clock in our time, in East Coast time. It's 12-hour difference there. So now it's midnight over there, and he never calls at that hour. Mom answers the phone. She's a little bit nervous. Said, why are you calling me right now? It's midnight. And he goes, oh, I'm at a doctor's office. Oh, you're at a doctor's office. What's wrong? He goes, oh, no, calm down, Mom, calm down. I'm at a chiropractor's office, and he's going out to the Philippines. He's going to Cebu, and I'm going to have him come to the orphanage and check you and Dad. And she goes, oh, that's wonderful. I don't know anything about chiropractic. So he explained to her what it is that we're going to do. And I said, tell Mom I'll have a translator there if she needs it. But she spoke English, but also a language called Tagalog. And so I said, I'll explain chiropractic to them when I get there. And so they set us up, went to the orphanage. I got to work with the children too in the orphanage. And so I was inspiring them. And now in the Philippines, what happens when they become like 15 or 16 years old, they get pushed out of the orphanage onto the street, and they become street children. And that's terrible, because they live a terrible life beyond that. So I got to check Mom when she was there, but then the dad, he had to go off and do something. There was some obligation, so I wasn't able to check the dad, but I got to work with the students, inspire them, mentor them a little bit. And I haven't really kept up with them beyond just that one visit. But each time we go back to Talisay, I go back to the orphanage and do the same thing. So that's awesome.
I know you've been in the Philippines for weeks or over a month at a time, and you still are able to thrive. Again, that is because you have the right system in place. You keep, it's very direct, it's powerful, and it works. You always, like you said, you evolve things to grow how you want it to be. But I love that. So we're in the Philippines. You've just had an incredible experience giving back to these incredible, orphans at this orphanage, checking the gentleman's mother. How cool is that? So then on the same trip, what happens next?
Okay, great. And just a side note, because you touched on it, if you want to learn those systems that we implement, SchubelVisionElite.com is where you learned it, Dr. Jake, and where we developed those systems that myself, Dr. Liam Schubel, Dr. Judd O'Grady, we put all those systems together to help teach you that and mentor you.
Yes.
So back to Philippines. We're in the Philippines. I'm at a hotel. At the time that we went over there was only 3 or 4 chiropractors for the entire country. And in the Philippines, there's 7,500 islands make up the Philippines. 7,500 islands. There's only 3 or 4 chiropractors, so not a lot. So next door to the hotel was a mall, and my wife said, oh, let's go over to the mall and take a walk. So we walked over to the mall. As we're walking through the circle of the mall, there happened to be a chiropractic office there. I was like, I didn't even know there was a chiropractic office in this mall. I would have went over here sooner. I said, hon, I want to go into the chiropractic office and see if the chiropractor wants to have his spine checked, because I'm sure he doesn't get that very often. So I walked into the office. The doc happened to be in the front room. I said, "Hey, doc, I'm a chiropractor from USA. Would you like to have your spine checked?" And he goes, "Thank you, God," grabbed me by my arm in front of all his patients, dragged me to the back of the room, and I checked his spine. He checked me, talked a little bit about chiropractic, and he said, "Well, where are you from?" I said, "I'm from New Jersey." He goes, "Where'd you go to school?" I said, "Sherman College." He goes, "Oh, I have an interesting story about Sherman College for you." It happened to be this chiropractor was a third generation chiropractor. All his dad, his granddad, and him, they were from the USA, and the dad and the granddad passed away. He fell in love with a woman from the Philippines and moved his practice over to the Philippines and stayed there. And so now his whole family is in the Philippines now. He said his grandfather was the person who referred Lyle Sherman off to chiropractic college. So Lyle Sherman is the namesake for Sherman College, who Tom Gilardi got inspired so much about this chiropractor, Lyle Sherman. He followed him to Spartanburg, South Carolina, and said, "I want to start a chiropractic college. I'm going to name it after Lyle Sherman." And I said, "Oh my goodness, I like opened up a buried treasure on a tropical island," right? I said, as soon as I left that place, the chiropractic office, I ran back to the hotel. I called up Sherman College. I said, "You're never going to guess who I ran into." And I said, "I ran into Dr. James Pardis in the Philippines." And the historian in Sherman College who ran the museum at the time said, "Oh, I know the Pardis family. We've been trying to get a hold of them for a while, and we lost contact with them." I said, "Yeah, I know. They're over in the Philippines." And I said, I'm with them right now." And so what happened is they contacted Dr. Pardis, and they started obtaining bits and pieces of information about Lyle Sherman and his story, the history of his generation of families who were in chiropractic. In exchange for that information, they started promoting his office in the Philippines and started building up chiropractic in the Philippines. So it's kind of like just opening up a buried treasure in my mind. And I always say to myself and others, you're on the right path when doors like that open up for you. If I didn't go to that exact hotel, walking distance to the mall, we would have never found that chiropractic office, and none of that would have happened. So when doors open up like that, look for those opportunities and say you're on the right path and continue doing whatever it is that you're doing. That's the right path you're on.
Man, Frank, thank you so much for sharing that incredible experience and story that you were able to be afforded because you were looking for it, right? You were looking to create such an incredible opportunity. And we've been very, very, very blessed. But I know that I am not the smartest chiropractor or let alone the wealthiest chiropractor, because I stand amongst giants. Thank you so much for teaching us. You do what you get to do. You don't have to go to work. You get to be a chiropractor. And again, whatever island of the Philippines you decide to buy of the 7,500, let me know. I'd love to come out and we'll do an island warming party for you, my friend. But
there we go. Yes.
For those guys that want to reach out to Frank again, Frank, he's a co-founder of Shubha Vision Elite, which I am still a member of. I still train personally on it. I still have my docs trained on the systems there. Reach out to Frank. But Frank, thank you so much for giving of your time today. And we look forward to seeing you and where the future takes you. So again, you guys, our goal here at the Chiropractors Edge is to give you an abundance of time, finances, and freedom. And you do that when you implement these things. Till next week, Dr. Frank, we appreciate you, love you, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you, Dr. Jake. Congratulations with Chiropractors Edge. It's awesome.
Thank you, brother.